ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to episode 23 of Some Random. I am your host, Sriracha Flash, and today, thank you, Lemmy Hawkins, for hosting. Right in the beginning, we'll get it out of the way. Thank you.
Is that Streets of Rage?
That is absolutely Streets of Rage. That's one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time.
All right.
I had to have it for a notification sound.
Great.
That song is Go Straight for anyone that doesn't know, which is exactly what you do in beat 'em ups. But this is episode 23, and it's episode 23 for a reason. Michael Jordan wore 23, the great one, and now we have the great one, Brett Bayonne at Shaper of Stories. Brett,
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Listen, I try to gas up, the guests, get them in a good mood as we get going. Try to keep it good and going. So Brett, hi, hello.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Wow, look at this. Look at the screen right now. Look at this long lineage of people in front of me who you've talked to.
Look, it actually we've had on the show. We've now had you. Everyone loves. And we've had Jar Pogo, who is a world record pogo champion. For the most consecutive bounces in 24 hours, which is somewhere around 23,000 bounces.
Oh my God! All right.
We've had people of all worlds. We've had a therapist on here. We've had No Good Citizen, who's recently sponsored by our Street Fighter subreddit, who's going to the North American Regional Finals. We've had people of all kinds and all ilk. And now
I'm flattered, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Like you said, you wanted to talk fighting games. I'm always down to talk fighting games. In fact, I don't really get a chance to do so in the way that I prefer. Like, just about any conversation, my preferred way to do it is kind of one-on-one. So, and that doesn't really happen that often. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, Brett, let's get started. Let's tell the people, who the hell are you?
My name is Brett. I play fighting games a lot of the time. I play a lot of other things too, but I grew up on them and I love them.
Perfect. Excellent. All we needed to know. Well, look, I'm going to do this at the start of the show because at the end of the show, everyone tunes out. We're like, all right, guys, thanks for listening. If you want to listen to Brett, blah, blah, blah. So at the beginning, let's get some promotions out of the way. You can find Brett on Twitch at Shaper of Stories. You can find him on Twitter at Shaper of Stories. You can find him on YouTube, youtube.com/Weekend Warriors. And you can also find him on youtube.com/The Super Beer Bros. He's the Eddie Murphy Twins sequel to Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito that we never got. On the Super
Wow,
Beer
was
Bros.
that supposed to happen?
That is 100% supposed to happen. That was rumored a couple years ago.
I'm going to Google the shit out of that as soon as we're done.
That is 100% a real thing that was supposed to happen. I don't know if it's still in the works, but that was absolutely a thing. And I hope it one day comes to fruition. I'd be very excited about it.
Yeah, I'd love to watch that train wreck. Let's do it.
Oh, man. All right, so I guess, look, we'll start basic, then we'll go into more open conversation about it. But what got you into fighting games in the first place?
I think it was the fact that my mom didn't want to pay a babysitter. That's what did it. She used to go bowling a lot. She was part of a bowling league. I think she's bowled and she was pretty little, so that was kind of like a thing. Even after she had me and she was an adult, she and her friends and family, they would all go bowling pretty often. We used to go bowling at this place in Los Angeles. It's called Chateau 39 Lanes. I think it's 39 Lanes. But they spelled it like SHATTO, I think. And it's this place over on like Vermont, kind of like northish of Vermont in LA. And so we would go very often. And I was a little kid by myself, man. And I'm not trying to sit there and like watch bowling. I don't want to watch bowling. So I would beg her for money. And this was right in that era. This was like right around 1990, 1991, which is right when Street Fighter 2 happened. So there was all these games, not only just Street Fighter, of course, but all these like fighting games that were riding the wave of popularity that was started by Street Fighter 2. So there were a lot of fighting games at that time, and I had disposable income, and the fighting games themselves had like all these very vibrant, colorful, attractive characters that I was really drawn to, and I've been hooked ever since. Even though like I used to get my ass whooped just regularly by all the older kids.
I think that's all of us. I don't think you're alone there. But it draws
wow,
me in.
You used to go to Chateau too? That's crazy.
No, I did. God damn it, Brett. From the beginning, already with the disrespect. These people, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, everyone gets their ass kicked when they first start. It's an important life lesson though. I feel like to get your ass kicked for a while, because a lot of people that come up playing fighting games with their friends, you're the best of your friend group. You go, man, I could show up to one of these events or one of these locals. I could definitely take first place and beat my friends up all the time. It's a whole nother world out there. But like when you start like getting beat by older people, like my uncles used to play Street Fighter with me when I was a kid, and so when I would get my ass beat, I don't know, I kept on trying to beat my uncles, and eventually you kind of get better as long as you stick to it. I feel like it's an important thing.
Yeah. A lot of people like that's like a. Not everybody goes through that though. Like, there's a lot of people who get their ass kicked and then they stop playing altogether. And then they either like, the fighting games aren't for me, or they'll go even deeper and like fighting games are stupid, And it's not just fighting games; it's like anything difficult and competitive. But the ones that stick through it, they stick to it and they keep playing despite getting their asses kicked. Sometimes they will get good enough, and like you said, eventually people usually hit that mark where they find out that they're like, okay, like I'm pretty good in my circle of players that I usually play with. And then
Yeah.
you like get to another circle that's bigger, like you get to a bigger pond, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, I'm nothing. Like that happens all the time. And like I think I think the sooner that a player of fighting games learns that there's always a bigger pond, always tougher fish, like the easier time they're gonna have.
Yeah. The sooner you come to that realization that you are not as big as you think you are. You are the speck in the universe. You will come to humble yourself and learn to get better sooner. As soon as you throw your pride out of the way, and I think that's the biggest problem, is that a lot of pride gets in the way of people. They can't handle.
Oh man. Oh wow, we're gonna start talking about that already. Jeez, that's
Absolutely, I will. I'll start off from the. I'll listen. I will start this exactly with that. I think pride
okay.
gets in the way of a lot of growth, and a lot of opportunity for people to get better. I think learning to abandon your pride at a young age, or in your formative time, playing fighting games or doing anything, you understand that failure is definitely an option that you have to learn to accept and grow from and learn. Then you get better.
You're speaking Greek. You're speaking absolute Greek right now to most people. You understand that?
Yeah.
Like, you say things like abandon pride, and most people that like, I'm telling you, like that just flies over their head. Like they go, it just sounds. It sounds like lip service. It either sounds like lip service or, at best, an impossibility to most people.
Yeah, I mean it is. If we're being if we're being frank and honest about it, it is, because people will hear that and they go, "Blah, fuck this guy. Like, what does he know? Is he talking about like my confidence and the reason I am the way I am is what got me here in the first place?"
Are you conflating pride with confidence?
No, I guess not. I guess I am, and I shouldn't be.
Yeah, two very different things.
Yeah. I guess the way that I'm phrasing it is someone who is prideful and not willing to abandon their confidence, not their confidence, I guess their ego. Maybe that's what I'm going after, is ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was taught at a young age playing football. My coach would always playing football. I think is important for kids too, youth athletics and stuff like that, because I'd get my ass kicked in football all the time. We all did. And coach would always, shout out to Coach Cottrell. He would always tell us, I can berate you with these words, I can yell at you, I can scream in your face all day, but it won't do anything. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But if you hold his head under long enough, he's got to do something. And so, for me, that was, I'm going to keep getting the shit kicked out of me unless I learn to adapt, get better, and improve, and abandon, the way that I do things is not always the proper way to do things. What I think is a proper swim move for young, 14-year-old Jose to get around that left tackle is not the proper way to do it, or not what I should be using all the time. So you learn to get better and you learn to do things. And I think the same thing applies with fighting games and fighting game mentality. The way that you want to do things and the way that you think you should do things will very often get in the way of what you should be doing. And the sooner you learn to abandon that, the better you will be, and the faster you open yourself up to growth.
Hey man, you're preaching to the choir.
I know. I don't have to fucking tell you this. You know all this.
Yeah, I feel.
Well, look. Let me get off my goddamn soapbox and let's bring it back to you.
Okay.
The guest of the hour. The guest of the hour. So you said you don't get to talk fighting games a lot. At least not in a proper way that you'd like to. Is there a topic on fighting games that you'd like to bring up immediately before we dive into the rest of it?
Oh man. Not off the top of my head. I didn't come here with an agenda. I didn't come here with now it's time to talk about
Yeah.
I don't know, proximity normals and how they're. I don't know. No, I got nothing in particular.
Perfect. No, that's totally fine. Like I said, I know I didn't throw that in the pre-show questions and shit like that, so don't mean to bombard you with it. But all right, so you started with fighting games at a young age. You've played them now. You've turned that into a career, playing fighting games on the internet, teaching people through your streams.
Well, I mean, let's slow that down.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. Indirectly.
This is not my career. I playing fighting games is nowhere near my career. Okay. Straight up.
All right. Let me reiterate this. Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna have to turn these goddamn notifications off.
Whoa!
Thank you for the host, Buford. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Buford.
No, so playing fighting games is not your career.
Right.
You stream on the side, and you often stream fighting games. You have a YouTube channel.
Looks like I've got more horsepower.
Thank you, Mad King Low, for the follow. God damn it, that's gonna throw me all off. Look, it's a solid notification. I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm all of you.
Yeah.
All of you are done. I can't even right now with all the rest of you. I don't even know where the fuck I am anymore. You play fighting games on the side. You have a YouTube channel where fighting games are brought up, and you do that as, I'll say, a side project, because as a career you're a writer, hence Shaper of Stories.
Yeah.
I can't get away from it. You guys.
Is there no way to mute it?
I'm trying to right now, and it's not cooperating. It's showing up from like another.
They're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop.
No, I know. They're awful. You guys, please. I have a family. So, all right. Jesus Christ. Fuck it. Next question. What was your first fighting game? You started fighting games at a young age. At 4.
That's hard to say. It was probably Street Fighter 2, to be honest.
Street Fighter 2 in the arcade?
It was probably Street Fighter 2, like just based on pure numbers. I probably saw that in the arcade, and I was like, "This is amazing." Okay. Like I said, I was really enamored. You know who I really liked back in the day? I liked Blanca. He was like my favorite dude, and I think it's because he just looked like a fucking monster. He was so interesting to watch. And like I didn't even understand the damn thing about those games. I didn't understand the narrative. I didn't understand the mechanics. But like I understood, like, this is a bright, vibrant monster man, and I want to control that monster man.
Okay. I think I started with Blanca too, strictly based on appearance. I think that's how a lot of people start. But Blanca.
Wow.
Blanca
I didn't realize what the basic bitch I was. Thank you for that.
No, god damn it. No, no. Look. If you're asking like a young kid, they have cartoons, and stuff like that, and you throw them into a fighting game, and you go, hey, like, you have all these regular human characters, and then the green beast man who can turn blue if you press the wrong button. They're gonna gravitate towards him, or like you're gonna be like me and assume that Dulcim is the best because he can reach across the screen with Crouch Fierce. So Dulcim and Blanca for me were the best because they were the most abnormal of the group.
Like if you're walking through an arcade and you're walking past your Pac-Man and you're walking past your foosball table and all of a sudden you see like this brown dude spit fire and like float and stretch and a green man with electricity, like you're gonna be like, what is this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that will instantly draw you in. And the second that you see like American guy with weird hair that throws fireballs, fucking whatever. Like he's not spitting fire and stretchy. He doesn't have elephants that annoy the shit out of you every time you lose. God in heaven. That stage, that elephant sound is droned into my head forever, and it'll.
I think even people that didn't play Street Fighter, they remember the sound of those elephants because there were so many. They pierced above everything else at the time, and like there were so many Street Fighter machines per arcade back in the day. You would just hear that like all over.
I remember the first time that I heard it. My grandma asked me because she was in the room. She goes, was that an elephant? I think I was like 4 or 5, and I go, I think so. I think that was an elephant, Grandma. And so
Where was this? Where was this?
This was at my house on the Sega Genesis. This is my grandma's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get to go to arcades until I was a little bit older because I grew up in Ithaca, Michigan, which is like a small farm town. I think the population is about 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Oh wow.
So the closest arcade was in Lansing, about an hour and a half away. So it would be like a special treat, like a couple times a year when we'd go down to the mall and go into the arcades.
I gotcha.
And even like between that and like my older years, we would go to the Soaring Eagle Casino in Mount Pleasant. And Soaring Eagle Casino is like, if you want to drop your kids off at the arcade we have here and go gamble, that's totally cool. We have skee ball and a Jurassic Park like roller coaster machine and fighting games. And so that is where I first played Mortal Kombat 4 was on arcade at the Soaring Eagle Casino.
Oh yeah, that was the one with big ass Quan Chi head on the side.
Yeah, and I remember that scared the hell out of me because I didn't know who he was. I was like, well, this isn't any Mortal Kombat I know.
Right. Yeah, it was 3D, and here's this dude who just looks like Death looking at you.
Yeah,
he looks like William Sadler playing Death in like Bonus Journey.
Oh fuck! What a callback! God damn it! Now I'm gonna think of that. That image will always haunt me because I had thought of Mortal Kombat as a scary game when I was a kid. I was young when Mortal Kombat 3 was on the Sega Genesis. And wasn't any big deal because I couldn't do the fatalities until some savior at Movies and More had wrote down fatality codes on the inside of the rental box for the characters.
Oh.
And that was a common thing. You would get
wait, hold on. How much younger than me are you?
You were born the same year as my wife, so I'm 29.
Okay, so you're about 4 years. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
Because by the time Mortal Kombat 3 was out, I think I was, I don't know, like in like third, maybe fourth grade.
Okay.
And by that time, oh man, not only was I all about the arcades and buying them at home and stuff, but like I knew all the moves and fatalities because like I would beg my mom for those old gaming magazines where they printed that shit.
Oh yeah, I think it was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 had this thick ass guidebook that had everything in it that I ended up picking up with my Christmas money when I was like 10. Oh, you know what? No, it was for Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PS1. That is where I picked up the guidebook. Yeah, because I was older. And that's where I eventually learned all of it. But before that, when I was just a fucking kid, you would rent let's say Mega Man X or Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and kids who would find out the moves would write the shit on the inside of the case.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you would open it up and go like, what the fuck is this? So you'd put in like the Mega Man X code and you'd be on the last ball. You'd be on Sigma with all the weapons and stuff like that.
Wait, when you say the moves, do you mean the moves or the fatality?
Both. Moves and fatalities. Because I was a
Didn't
dumb
they
kid.
used to print in the manuals the moves though?
We didn't have those. We just had like, when you would rent games for Movies and More, it would come in a brown like generic case that just had the writing.
So you didn't have the manual.
Yeah, we didn't have the manual. We didn't have anything.
You were flying blind, dude.
Yeah. We would go into these games with nothing. And so everything that we found out, you would write down, you would pass along to someone else when they eventually got it. And then like Mortal Kombat Trilogy rolled around. Quick aside for Mortal Kombat Trilogy, my parents, in order to hide the presents from us, because there were 9 of us growing up, in order to hide the presents from us, they would write numbers down at each of the presents. So you couldn't look at a present and go, oh, this is mine. Like, I'm going to shake it and try to find out what it is. Maybe it's what I asked for. And they had got my sister a Britney Spears CD, and they had gotten me Mortal Kombat Trilogy. And they mixed up the numbers. So when they handed me the number for what was supposed to be her CD, I opened up a Britney Spears CD, and she opened up Mortal Kombat, and I was very confused. I was so upset. I was just like, that's not fair. Yeah. And like my mom.
Yeah, but at that point, you just look at your sister in the eye, and you both nod at each other like later.
Yeah. Well, I think at the time they were still writing from Santa Claus like on the presents.
Oh, so you thought Santa had got it twisted. You're like, what the fuck, old man?
Yeah, so I saw my mom and my stepdad like look at each other and exchange looks and go, oh, hold on, like we got to figure this out. Maybe Santa made a mistake. Then we fucking went our separate ways. But at the time, very confused.
Yeah, you thought Santa was losing his touch.
You have no idea. The day that I found Santa's letters on top of the fridge when I was looking for hot sauce up there.
Oh, no.
That broke my heart.
No wonder you're called Sriracha Flash.
Yeah, it was a spicy time. It was, I remember I got up there. I was looking for, I don't know, some kind of sauce. Maybe it was Cholula. And
We know what it was. We know what it was.
At the time, it wasn't sriracha. We didn't have anything like Asian in the house until I had fucking moved out.
By mandate.
Yeah. Well,
no Asian stuff. No Street Fighter. Only Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, only Mortal Kombat.
Do not pick Liu Kang.
Oh no, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Listen, if we're brown kids in a white household in the first place. We're lucky we're getting anything, let alone Cholula. Like fuck, there's no way we're getting Asian things in the house. The most Asian we got, we'd go to China buffet, and for like $9, you take out to the car and then like split it between the three of us because we're fucking broke. I feel you. That's only kind of true. I think it was like $15 to feed 6 of us. Anyways, fucking all off of this. Enough about me, but more about the guest of the hour. So I wanted to ask you this because it gets brought up a lot. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, very recently in the last 8 years, has been lauded for their story modes in fighting games.
Oh, come on, man. Are we doing this?
Listen, I won't speak negatively on it. We're not going to talk about Mortal Kombat and the paper-thin story that they have. That's totally fine.
Oh, okay, we're not. Okay, let's do it.
No, we won't do that.
All right, what are we talking
about? But they've been lauded, and I think it's mostly because they have a story mode in a fighting game that doesn't look terrible. Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite caught a lot of hell for having a story mode, but it was bare bones. But the real difference between that and like Mortal Kombat and the NRS games was mostly like some, I don't know, cute cutscenes, I guess. They're
both
better.
Just a bunch of fucking cutscenes.
Yeah, the only thing that I can tell the difference between why MVCI and like Street Fighter V were hated compared to the NRS games is because the cutscenes didn't look as good. But it's all empty, whatever. But if you want to craft a story for a fighting game, where do you start?
Oh, man.
If you want to make a cohesive, good story for a fighting game.
What do you mean by cohesive? What does that mean?
Enough to draw the player in, to make them feel like actions matter, characters pop, characters change, characters evolve.
So you mean like invested?
Yeah. And a story that flows together, that ties the fighting of the characters into the story itself. I don't know, like... In Street Fighter V, Necalli melts into a fucking puddle in the story mode. That's never explained. It's never used in his actual game mechanics. If you're going to introduce that as a feature of this character, it should make narrative sense and be used in his toolkit as the character. And I feel like, those things should go back and forth. If Ryu throws a fireball, I'm not asking for a scientific breakdown as to why Ryu throws a fireball, but maybe in the story mode, you could show him training to do this and like why he feels like learning to do this will help him get better as a world warrior.
You're like, look, man, you're talking about like a bunch of stuff, a bunch of poor narrative choices right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where to start and where to begin. But
is there a question? Or do you just want me to go in on? Like, what's up?
Yeah. So I guess my question is, how do you craft a narrative for a fighting game? And if not just a fighting game, because fighting games alone are hard, how do you craft a narrative for a video game that makes it feel on par with a movie or a TV show, where you can look at it and go, "This is objectively a good story."
That's the problem. I think you're already thinking about it the wrong way. I don't like. Ideally, I don't think these video game narratives should be trying to feel on par with movies or TV, and by that I mean like I think the phrase "on par" is like where we're getting twisted, because like either you mean as good as, and I'm like, well, why can't they be better? Or you mean on par as in like, how can we make them like TVs and movies? And I'm like, well, why can't they be different? So like I think video games are in a very unique position medium wise to tell stories in a very unique way, ideally in a way that only games can do. That's problem number one. Problem number two is the quality of the stories in video games right now just aren't great, in my opinion. I know I'm in the minority. I know a lot of people think games and stories are good and getting better. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, and this is all opinion that we're talking about, but I'm certainly dissatisfied with almost every story in every video game, both in the subject matter and the way that it's told. So if you're asking me what I would do, like, it sounds like you're asking me how would I make a good game story. It sounds like you might even be asking me how I'd make a good fighting game story, and I think the answer is Oh boy. Well, it's tough.
All right, so I guess instead of going very deep into it, let's say what what are the key devices that a video game story would need in order to make you feel invested as a player? What would need to happen?
Well, I think what we have. Okay, so I think the first thing we have to do is talk about the difference between narrative and narrative elements.
Okay.
Traditionally, fighting games. If we take a Street Fighter 2, right? If you're a little kid and you're 5, 6, 7, you're walking to the arcade. Street Fighter 2 didn't really have a story. Sure, the characters had their ending movies, but come on, that's like what 4 lines of text. It's
Right.
hardly a story, but it's certainly a lot of narrative elements. But even beyond that, I think there are plenty of other more important narrative elements throughout Street Fighter 2, regardless of the endings. But take the endings out completely. There are still plenty of narrative elements in that game. From let's see, from the way that like Blanca cowers when he walks backwards, to the way that like Guile combs his hair after a victory, to the way that to the way that T Hawk holds his arms up all awkwardly when he walks. Like there, or the stages themselves, right? Like there's a reason that there's a reason that Vegas stage was in like Spain and shit at this like club.
Hmm.
And the little victory quotes as well. There's so many different little narrative elements in this game already that I think it's important to remember. It's important to remember that there's a difference between a narrative, as in a story with beginning, middle, and end, and narrative elements. So if you recognize that difference, I think the first thing we have to do if we're telling a good fighting game story is to focus on those narrative elements before we even focus on a narrative. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, for
absolutely.
example, if you look at fucking Mortal Kombat, right? Before we even get to their fucking story mode, there are some characters that they have where, like, they have great narrative elements, but there are also some really shitty narrative elements. For example, character Cetrion, who is just abysmal just in every way. And I know there's some people that probably love Cetrion, and they're not wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong either in saying that, like, I think she's boring to look at. I think she sounds boring. Lord knows that she animates in a boring way, like a lot of characters in that game. Like, talk like you have to get so like how much quote unquote story you can like convey with the way a character moves. And that is like, okay, let me put it this way. Like one of my only rappers I like nowadays is Tech Nine, because he doesn't just like utilize flow, like the rhythm of the words that he says. He doesn't just utilize flow when he raps. He embraces it and basically has sex with it in every single song, as opposed to most fucking popular hip hop artists today neglect it altogether.
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat neglects character and a lot, and they were getting better, especially in their latest entry. But that is like a huge avenue. That is a huge resource for narrative elements that they are letting go by the wayside. And like a great example is like I saw like the Terminator trailer that just came out. They
Yeah.
have this motherfucker like
The crouching
running
light
across the
kick.
stage. They have this dude doing like crouching low kicks and shit. And I get it. Look, everybody needs a low kick in fucking Mortal Kombat. I get that. But I don't know, maybe have him do a fucking pending one where he just like crunches your shin bone in or something. Like every single move in a fighting game for a character should be an avenue through which you can convey information about that character to the player. Every single move. Nothing should be wasted. And when it comes to games like Mortal Kombat, there are so many wasted animations where it's like anybody could have performed this move. As opposed to, man, when Alex fucking charges up his V trigger clothesline, no one else does that. No one else does that, and it's awesome looking. Or when this dude like, who else is in that game? Fong, the way he like floats through the air and stuff,
Oh
or
yeah.
like flips his like what's his name, his little sleeve. Nobody else does that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like character animations is like one way you can convey great, unique, and awesome narrative elements.
I
But I
think
think you're getting the point when it comes to narrative elements.
yeah, absolutely. I think another game that does that very well is Killer Instinct. Killer
Uh
Instinct's
huh.
characters and the way they interact with their environments and move, I think is excellent. I think Hisako, I think is how you pronounce her name,
Yeah.
who's like the ring style girl. in that game is fucking terrifying, and the way that she moves, I'll throw her up on screen now. The way that
you were too ready with that.
Listen, I was getting ready. All right, I knew where I was going. Yeah, she fucking terrifies me in the way that she twitches, in the way that she moves, her animations. Like, you will not find any character in any fighting game that moves and interacts with other opponents the way that she does. Her special moves are completely unique as mostly a parry character and like a defense counter character. And I think that the way that the game, even her trailer, introducing her in the trailer was fucking horrifying.
There's really cool elements with that. I think something Killer Instinct does very well as well that Mortal Kombat neglects is they have like individual and very interesting character theme songs and stages. And that is something that is like just unfortunately really just going by the wayside nowadays in fighting games. It's so beneficial to characterizing your characters to have them have their own stage and theme song. And Killer Instinct does that very well. But think about all the cool narrative elements about these characters that came across. No, think about it. Go back to Street Fighter 2. Once again, I will ring this bell until the day that I die. Like, you look at Guile and you go, man. If you look at Guile and like, and he could be like, wow, I guess that's like a really patriotic guy, right?
Right.
But if you look at his stage, you're like, oh, he's in the Air Force. You feel me?
Yeah.
Or if you look at I don't know, who else is a good example? You know what I mean, though, like with their stages, right?
Yeah.
When people don't have their own stages, it's not that like it ruins the game. No, it doesn't. But it's a wasted opportunity and resource.
Absolutely. As we were talking about earlier with Dulcine's stage, with the elephants in the background. Listen, I don't mean to be offensive to the Indian people, but I forget their god. But isn't she in the background?
Have mini gods.
Yeah, they have mini gods. The 6-arm one, the elephant looking one. Is she?
Ganesha.
Yeah, it's Ganesha. Ganesha's in the background of one of his stages. Or her imagery is. But Dulcine does it too. Ryu's stage, like on the dojo bridge. Everything about those characters. I don't know if it's a bridge or not, but it always looks like a bridge to me. So that's just
right.
what it is. But you knew like that's what that character's stage was. And I really wish that Street Fighter V had. I'm not saying they need a stage for every character. At this point we have 38 characters. 38 stages is an awful lot. And I know the fighting game budget for Capcom has been talked about a lot recently, with it not being allocated for a bunch. Most recently the infamous story on MVCI is that they got a fifth of whatever the DLC budget for Street Fighter V was. Whether that's true or not, we all know that the budget hasn't been there for Capcom's fighting games, or at least it's been talked about recently. But I feel like there are a lot of opportunities for stages in Street Fighter V that we just don't have.
Yeah, it's true. I think they've been doing a much better job recently releasing more stages that certainly classically seem attributed to certain characters. Like they'll release a quote unquote new stage that's a remake of Honda's stage, but it's like, that's an old stage, and that's fine.
Right.
We don't need all these stages, but they certainly help. And I'll tell you when they help the most is when you have a character that's not characterized. Them bringing out Honda's stage with Honda is great. I love it.
Right.
But if they didn't do it, Honda's still Honda, and people basically know who he is at this point. That dude's old, right? He's older than your kids. Here's the thing, though. Like, if you have a new character like Ed, think about how much a stage would help characterize. If he had his own pad with little details in the backgrounds to let us know who this kid is. Imagine if Manat had her own stage to, like, let us understand better who she is. You feel me?
Absolutely. Manat is the one that I truly wish that we had a stage for. With her Egyptian theming and everything else. A stage in Egypt would be fucking fantastic.
Agreed.
Throw
And once
pyramids in
again,
the background.
it's not me saying, like, I want more new stuff, wear new stuff. No, it's like, you create these characters, and anything you can do to help characterize them is great. And no, I'm not saying fucking... I'm not talking about, like, little pictures with text over them in VO, and I'm certainly not talking about cutscenes. I'm talking about ways to do it where the narrative doesn't take the control out of your hands. A video game as opposed to a video game that occasionally stops to show you pictures or show you.
Right.
So, there's narrative elements we've been talking about. As far as actual narrative goes, man, I think there's certain ideas you can implement to really help out. Like, for example, I think one of the coolest things that Mortal Kombat does, ironically enough, is a moment where they take the controller out of your hand, and it's those little pre-fight dialogues. It's like ABA, line, line, line.
Uh-huh.
And I'm fine with that because it's less than 5 seconds long. It's totally cool and it's skippable. It's all good. But I think if you start building off that, you can really do some cool things narratively in a fighting game. Look, man, I don't know how I'm gonna like build a full story for a fighting game. Like that's
Yeah,
a lot of
you
work.
don't have to. We've already been going at this.
But I'll tell you this much: imagine if there were lots of in-fight dialogue that were that was triggered depending on who's fighting who, maybe even where, and what happens in the middle of it. Like if you're playing it with Ryu versus Ken and you land a Shoryuken on somebody, or like Ryu versus Sagat and you land an EX SRK on somebody, and Sagat says a line that like only happens right there. How cool would that be? And he's like, "Oh man, that moved in, huh?" Something like that. Or if you have like a fight between Nash and Dyson, imagine all the cool dialogue that could happen in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And the part that irks me about that is that there are special lines in the story modes for the characters in Street Fighter V. So if you go and you play any of the modes without thrashing the computer in one round, if you sit there and you kind of draw it out, there is special dialogue in the game between the characters. Abigail will yell at Alex and like he will say things like to Alex in the middle of their fight of the story mode. But it's only in that story mode for one round that you start with full fucking meter. So you can end that fight in 19 seconds, or 10 seconds
Right.
even, and you'll never hear any of it. And after you complete it, there's zero reason to go back and play it again. There is zero reason.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Like, if those lines were thrown into the game, like, how great would it be for Abigail to have even like Hulk's voice lines from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, where he says "Punch Man" to Ryu as Ryu comes into the stage. Like, let Abigail yell "Punch Man" at Ryu and like some other things. Like, I don't know. I don't know how much a voice actor has to get paid. I'm sure it's they have a standard like amount or a standard rate that they have to get paid. Throw them a couple extra bones, like record 30 extra lines. I don't know.
No. I don't think what you're describing is that. Like, this is just like the base level of stuff they could do to maintain gameplay while developing cool narrative stuff. And the money exists. It just goes into modes like these story modes. Like, I know I'm in the minority here. People love their cutscenes, and that's great and everything, but I love narrative elements that pop out during gameplay. And I feel like this idea would be maybe a nice way to do that.
Yeah, no.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. That got me exactly where I needed to be. We actually went deeper in that than I thought I would, and like as I was writing the question down, I was like, we could give like a quick framework, and like this is what you could do. No, because I'm an idiot, and I was just like, we'll just like breeze right over it, not realizing that we'd be on.
I told you we're gonna go deep. I told you.
Look, totally fine. Well, look, let's stay on. Like I'm gonna say narrative, and you're gonna correct me because it's probably not what I mean.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say we're gonna stay on the subject of narrative.
Okay.
You've talked in the past about when you were younger, you got to watch horror movies because you told your mom, I'm not scared of horror movies. I know it's fake. Which is one of my favorite things. Because when I was younger, even though I was scared of Mortal Kombat and stuff like that, I knew that movies were fake because for whatever reason they weren't as gratuitous for me. Like at a very young age, I watched John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh man, yeah.
And as they were going to do the EKG like paddles or whatever they're called, I always forget the defibrillator. They go to do the defibrillator, and the chest opens up and they bite the poor dude's arms off.
Where's the picture of that?
Look, I'm on it. I'm on it right now. But anyways, as that was happening, I was like, well, this is awful, but like I know like that couldn't really happen, right? Then the dog's face peeled open.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, again, this can't happen. Like, my dog is too nice to do that to me. And I will always, I realized that those were fake. Anyways, there are a lot of horror movies that have come out recently that like refuse to put things that will engross the audience in watching and caring about the movie outside of waiting for scares. I think one of the more like you see a lot of these like It Follows did a really good job of like making me like want to watch the movie and caring about the narrative and being terrifying. And then there are movies like what's that movie where the kids are locked in the dude's house and the dude's blind? Don't Breathe. Don't
Oh
Breathe.
yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
That was just, I don't know. I didn't care about the movie, like, at all. Here you go, everyone. Like, listen, I said it.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there you go.
They defib him, and his chest opens up, and the thing bites those hands off. Nom nom nom. Those are gone. Say goodnight. Ugh. Listen, if anyone hasn't seen John Carpenter's The Thing, and I know Body Novel is in the chat right now, and he's doing, like, here's a scary movie or video game or song or whatever for the day, for all, like, the days of October, and he's in the chat saying that he doesn't know what this scene is. Motherfucker, if you're giving out 31 days of recommendations and you're not recommending John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982, you are missing out, my brother. You need to go sit down and watch yourself The Thing. Everyone needs to watch this movie if you like horror movies.
Agreed.
But I think the reason that I was thinking about this, and I know that you have watched, you watch, I'm going to say a decent amount of horror movies.
I've seen a lot of movies in my past, yeah.
Perfect. I recently watched Midsummer. And
I saw that one.
Fucking hated it. I hate that goddamn movie. It was a mess from start to finish. I know the director has said in the past that he enjoys, making the audience uncomfortable with quick narrative turns and plot twists in the middle of his movie. And I don't know. For me, it's no different than like what Lars von Trier has done with The House That Jack Built, most recently. Doing things for the sake of doing things doesn't mean that they're good. Even though you're like, this is my style, that might be your style, that doesn't mean that I have to give a shit about what your style is. It doesn't create a good narrative movie or entertaining movie. I don't know your feelings about the movie, but there were just a lot of things in that where I would just go, this is a mess. The comedy relief character in that movie, who's been in a lot of things recently. The most recent thing I saw him before Midsummer, he was a racist cop in Detroit. Young kid. He's been in a lot of things. His name's escaping me right now. But he's like the comedy relief stoner of the movie, and he, like, even his character fell flat. Like, it didn't relieve anything for me. It was just, I don't know, a cut and paste character.
Okay.
All right. Anyways, but as someone who's watched quite a bit of movies in his time and who has, I'm not going to say a history with horror movies, but you've watched a fair number. If you're What would make you want to pay attention to a horror movie that makes you actually care about the movie? I don't know. What narrative things have to be in a horror movie for you to actually like the movie and enjoy the movie? To carry you from start to finish. Because for me, if I'm watching a horror movie, I don't want to sit there waiting for the jump scare. I think jump scares are cheap and easy, and that's a fucking tepid take, Everyone hates jump scares, or at least they should, because it's whatever. It's the popcorn of movies. But, like, if there's a movie like, what's a horror? Hereditary was okay. That one did alright by me. Or The Witch. Like, those movies, while not great, I actually was invested in the story, and I wasn't like, oh boy, like, this is gonna happen, or jump out at me, or waiting to be scared. There were just horror elements in a movie. Is there anything like that for you that makes you want to watch a horror movie? Or care about, like, a horror narrative in a movie?
I mean, let me try to understand the question. Are you asking me, like, what I need to keep watching a horror film?
Yeah. Alright, so I guess I'll boil it down to, like, what I have written down. What essential elements are required for a good horror movie?
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think the things that you need for a good horror film are the things that you need for any good story, period. Yeah, I think in order to be a good fucking horror film, I think the base thing that you need, boilerplate, is I don't know. How do I put this? Well, I don't want to say characters that I care about, because that's not true. Because there are certain horror films that I like where I don't even necessarily care.
Okay.
Like the Thing. I don't care about those fucking characters.
Right.
They don't make me feel anything. So I don't know. I guess the answer to that is there is no one thing that you need to have a good horror film, but I can tell you certain things that would definitely help. So yeah, man, good actual writing with characters that grow and change and what they believe and value over the course of the story. That's just good fucking storytelling, in my opinion, and it really fucking helps, right?
Hmm.
I think something that also helps is, how do I put this? Utilizing utilizing a sense of actual horror, aka dread, trying to make the audience feel dreadful as opposed to just your fucking jump scares and shit. Uh, and maybe even, I'm just going through my head right now. Why do I like that one? And lastly, I think maybe it's I think horror. I think great horror stories hold a mirror up to us.
Okay.
I, th- I think those are three things that I very much value in horror. Yeah,
Okay.
like a sense of hopelessness and dread, holding a mirror up to us to get us examine, who we are and what we value, and even characters that themselves grow and change over the course of the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're right. I think those are universal characteristics that should belong in most any movie, with the exception of like horror.
I mean, like, yeah. Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm not saying you need all those to be a good horror film. You don't. Like, The Thing doesn't have characters that I care about. It's true, and it hardly. I think it hardly tackles. I think it hardly holds a mirror up to us. I think it holds it up a little bit. Examining concepts of paranoia, right, and mistrust.
Mm,
But not really. That being said, it does the other one so well, which is like establish a sense of dread, establishing a sense of paranoia so well that it's automatically in my top three horror movies of all time. You know what I mean? So I don't think you need all that, but those are like pretty good to have.
okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, you could also go the far end of the other route and create an interactive experience with your fan base. For those, if have you ever seen The Tingler? It's like a horror movie from 1954 or 55.
No, but I'm intrigued.
Okay, so The Tingler was it's a movie about like the scientist discovers a parasite in human beings called a tingler, and they grow. They feed on the fear of humans in the spines of humans. And so when people become afraid, they grow and they burst out of them. And so in the movie theaters, while people are watching The Tingler, a movie about things that grow in your spine as you become afraid and they explode and they kill you, they had vibrating chairs. So some people in the audience would be watching this movie, and in the middle of their back would start vibrating like it would in the
That's
movie.
mean. I love it. That's
And
really mean.
people would freak the hell out. That movie gained a lot of cult status for that, and the only reason I know about it is because some stoner guy that I went to school with talked about it. And he was into a lot of those schlocky 50s movies like The Blob, The Tingler, stuff like that. And so that one for me is always one that I like to bring up for people because it's so silly, and they look like crustaceans that like would burst out of people. But I don't know, it's great if you want to do that for people.
Thanks for the recommendation. All right.
No problem. Look, if you want an interactive thing with people, that's another way to do a movie too, or at least a horror movie. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it could be cool.
All right. Well, look. While we're on this, do you have a horror movie that you would suggest to people to go watch? Was one that
Man, you already hit number one. Go see The Thing.
Okay.
Go watch Romero's Dead trilogy: Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. Especially Day of the Dead. Watch Cronenberg's The Fly.
Ooh. Okay.
Horror films. Top horror films. Watch the original Terminator.
Okay.
And last but not least, watch Poltergeist.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Poltergeist. Yeah. All right. That's a solid list.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say. Speaking of the Terminator, Bill Paxton. Fun fact about the Terminator. I probably brought this up before for anyone that knows it, but I'm gonna bring it up again. Bill Paxton. God bless his soul. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. The only person to be killed by the Terminator, the Predator, and the Alien, the Xenomorph.
It's true. It's true.
So rest in peace, Bill Paxton. So watch the Terminator in his honor, and then go watch Alien, and then go watch Predator. All solid fucking movies. Okay, so all right. I want to talk about some recent news in fighting games. I'm gonna bring this back to the FGC a little bit.
Okay.
Very recently, it's been. I don't want to say leaked because I hate that. I hate when people say leaked when it's some.
You're talking about a rumor, right?
Yeah, when it's some dickhead on Twitter going, "I found the secret root file for Street Fighter V." And Jesus Christ.
Right.
But anyways, there have been a lot of rumors that Oro and Rose are coming to Street Fighter V in November. That's going to be the next character announcement.
In November?
In November. Well, we know for a fact that Ono has said the next announcement will be in November at the North American Regional Finals.
Yeah, but they didn't say any characters were coming in November.
No, they didn't. Again, this is part of the rumor. Please, no one take this as gospel. Like, don't take this and be like, I heard it on this podcast, because you fucking didn't. But that's the rumor mill, is that Oro and Rose are coming. Allegedly, Rose has been done since 2018, which is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. Awful. That, like, oh, she's been done, they just haven't released her. Shut up. But anyway, those two allegedly are coming, and then allegedly Dudley and another character in December. Who knows if that's true?
4 characters total?
Yeah.
Color me doubtful as fuck.
Yes, again. And there's other rumors, a third V-Trigger, a second V-Skill, second Critical Arts. Rumors abound. Whatever.
Yep, this all sounds like stuff people would make up for attention.
Yeah, X-Kira can go to hell, as far as I'm concerned.
Wow!
Listen, I don't mean to drag you through the mud on this, Brett, so you don't have to say anything. But just really quick, I'm so tired of X-Kira. That motherfucker throws 80 darts against the wall. And we see this like watching football. Because there are Twitter accounts that will tweet out the possible score, teams, and everything else that will win the Super Bowl. They tweet out thousands of tweets at the beginning of the year. When the Super Bowl ends, they delete every other tweet except for what happened, and then retweet it and go, I told you 6 months ago. Which is exactly what X-Kira does.
Clock is right at least twice a day.
Right. It makes me crazy. But anyway, let's say Oro and Rose do come to Street Fighter V. And then Dudley comes. Now there's potentially the 4th character. Is there a returning character that you would want in Street Fighter V? Or would you want a brand new character? And if you do want a returning character...
The character I want in Street Fighter V is the same motherfucker I've wanted since day one. I want Mike Hager. Put him in the game.
Ooh, okay. Alright. That's fine. Yeah, bring Mike Hager, please. Please!
Like, look, man, everybody else from fucking Final Fight's been in the game. It's his time. Like, complete the circle. Make it happen. He'll be great. And it would make me feel good. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, Street Fighter V has been very, very good about reincorporating old stuff and refreshing it. Sometimes in expected ways, sometimes in not so expected ways, which I think is part of their success. And at this point, if you're going to reincorporate all this stuff from Final Fight and just leave one little thing like that, it just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't sit right. Like the most recent, the Ring of Pride, not the Ring of Pride, the Ring of
Metro.
Yeah, Ring of Metro has every single Final Fight villain and no mention or vision of Hager anywhere.
He's in that stage.
Is he in the stage?
He's in the stage. Bring up an image of that stage. I'll show you exactly where he is. He's like bottom left.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah, he's there.
Ring of Justice. There it is. That's what it is. Ring of Justice.
How it is called? It's Ring of Pride, Ring of Power, Ring of... there's 4 of them now. I can never remember what they're called.
Yeah, Ring of Power, Ring of... Oh, you know what? He is in the stage. I'm an idiot.
You see him?
Yeah, I see him. Hold on. I'll throw him on the screen for everyone else. He is in the stage. I just... my big boy is there. Abigail's there in the background when I'm not playing him, which is hardly ever. But, so I focus on him for the most part. Yeah, I'm a big baby. There it is. All right, there we go. Here's... Oh, good lord. Hold on. Fit to screen. Transform. fit to screen. There we go. This is going to cover the
Yep,
entire screen.
that's Rolento, all right. There it is.
Yeah, there's Rolento in the top left. There's Hager in
There
the bottom
he
left.
is, yeah.
Sodom, the Andre family, Belger, Abigail, EDE, Axel, and Damned. Oh, Damned.
Yeah. You want Damned of all people?
I don't know if I want Damned in the game. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe have Damned and EDE as part of Hager's critical art. Maybe
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Maybe he throws the opponent like into the corner, and EDE and Damned are there like to clothesline the people, and they bounce back, and Hager grabs them and does like an SPD or a suplex.
I'll be down with that.
I think I'd be all right with it. Make it fun, introduce those characters. But yeah, no, I would be down for Hager in the game. I do think it's weird that we don't have him, except for like some voice clips and like being in the corner of the stage. And I don't even know if we have voice clips. I think they only really mention him as the former mayor Mike Hager.
Man, I hope he makes a comeback.
That would be great. But we're not going to get it. They're going to go, well, everyone liked Lucia, so how about Dean from Final Fight 3?
I'd be down with that too. Like, I remember playing through Final Fight 3 somewhat recently, being like, you know what, man, these characters, I would love to see him in a Street Fighter. And we got Lucia, and it's turned out great.
Yeah, I think I just went back and saw that recently. For whatever reason, I was in the mood to like hear some Final Fight stuff, and I went back and saw you and Alex play through Final Fight, and that was, I don't know, very entertaining for me.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, supporters since day one.
Appreciate it.
Kind of. Anyway, Street Fighter V. What else was I gonna say? The rumors abound there. It is what it is. It's on the mechanics end. Where people have talked about a second V scale, a second critical art, and a lot of people say things like, "I want more defensive options," which for me just means I want to press more buttons. I don't. Every time that someone asks, like, I want more defensive options, my immediate question is, what defensive options would you like to have in the game? And I never get an answer. All I get, the closest answer that I've ever gotten is, it is not on me, the player, to determine what should be in the game. Which makes me want to pull my hair out. When you say, I want more defensive options.
Yeah, what the fuck?
What do you want? I don't know.
Point at the motherfucker on this screen that said that shit.
It's not on here, but I will call him out because he's a friend of mine. Input, output. He's I think a Super Diamond or Ultra Diamond Dulcine player. And he stopped playing Street Fighter V like a year ago. But he was the one. I asked him, I was like, what defensive options do you want in the game? And his reaction was, it is not, the impetus is not on me, the player, to come up with mechanics that should be in the game. And I just wanted to fucking pull my hair out.
Yeah, that's a cop-out. Look, here's the thing. I agree with you. I think that's like a common, it's like years old at this point. It's a common complaint about Street Fighter V, and I think most of the time, I think it's just straight up regurgitation to fit in for most people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people complain they want defensive options. A lot of people, another one said they complain about the fact that there are anti-air jabs. And, since day one, I'm like, I've always wondered, like, what is so wrong with anti-air jabs? And I've gotten a lot of different, I get no answers from some people, and I get a lot of different answers from people, but I've never gotten the same answer from people, which shows me that, like, well, maybe there isn't anything.
No, there's not. There's nothing wrong with anti-air jabs. There's something wrong with people who don't understand what hitboxes and hurtboxes are.
Yeah, I mean, look, and as far as defensive options goes, I understand that Street Fighter V is an incredibly aggressive game. Sometimes it can feel even oppressive. And I understand that it's also like it rewards offense more than defense, like even more so than a lot of other fighters. That is by design. I don't have a problem with that. And it sounds like some people want to, how do I put this? It sounds like a lot of people want to not be at such a disadvantage when they are put into a disadvantageous state in this game. And in my opinion, I don't feel that way. Whenever I'm getting my ass handed to me in the corner because like Karn is busting light kicks in my face and throwing me all day, I think to myself, well, I just have to I have to learn how to deal with this. Like, this shit isn't real. Like, there's gaps here, and I just have to find those gaps and exploit. I'm not thinking to myself, man, I wish I had a mechanic to just, I don't know, deal with this entirely. Come on, man, we've got V reversals in the game. We have that. I'm not saying that this game is perfect. It is certainly not, but I disagree. I don't think this game needs more defensive mechanics. And in fact, if we did, I feel like it would throw everything out of.
Yeah, the way that I've always said it is that adding more defensive mechanics, or what I think what a lot of people want, in developing the game differently, would fundamentally change how Street Fighter V plays, and like what I think a lot of characters would suffer for it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know that a lot of people have talked about, well, what if there was an option to play without V trigger? Would the top tiers of the game change? The answer is no.
But here's the thing. Like, what does that mean? Like, look, if you want to throw in a mode where there's no V triggers, fine. You can play it on your leisure. That's fine. But like, let me ask you something. Are the top tiers in this game really that bad? Like, because I feel like I can name 3 other games right now that are currently being played that have an even more stagnant top whatever than this game. Like, is Street Fighter V that dominated, but with its own meta? Is it?
No, absolutely not.
No. Knee jerk. I want you to sit here and think, like, is it? Like, you tell me, because I don't pay attention to the meta that much.
Okay.
But every time I do tune into the meta, it's like a different character every time at like top 8. Every time.
Yeah. So most recently, Kichipamu has made a lot of waves with Zangief in top 8s. He made top 8 at EVO with Zangief. He made top 8 at the PPL, which was the Chinese event with Zangief. And then at the Southeastern Asia Majors, he made top 8 with Zangief. So we've had a Zangief in top 8, who is a middle tier character for a lot of people. The consensus top tiers in the game, Kerin, Akuma, Rashid, I don't think Kami's in there anymore, but Ibuki, and I think Birdie. I think those are the consensus top 5 that are in the game.
Here's the thing, like, it wasn't always that case for Birdie.
No,
right?
It wasn't.
For that. And it certainly isn't the case for Geef. I don't know if people are claiming that, but I think his top 8 performances speak for themselves. Like, it's possible to do things with Geef.
Right.
Like, Ibuki, Akuma, Kaden, yeah, they've been around for a while. Like, those characters are strong, and I'm not going to deny that. Rashid, yeah, like, he's an up-and-comer from the past maybe 2 years or so. I remember that.
Right.
But, yeah, like, let's think about it, man. Like, how do I put this? There are so many characters that I constantly see doing big things all the time, as opposed to so many other fighting games I see where it's the same dudes all. And I'm not saying this game is perfect, but I think that anyone that says that this game absolutely right now needs some sort of balance changes, like, or else it needs the help, I think they're mistaken. Yeah, you could definitely balance this game further, for sure. Like, you can improve it. You can make it better. But it's not like, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think Street Fighter's in dire straits right now in terms of some sort of stagnant meta. No.
No, not at all. And I 100% agree with you. I bring up Kichipamu making top 8 with Zangief only as a demonstration to show, like, we've had a wild variety of top 8s this year. And, consistently, you'll see, like, Karen in a couple cut in a couple top 8s, but like that top 8 is staggered with all kinds of characters. At the beginning of the year, High Fight made a post about this. The only character that hadn't made a top 8, or no, not top 8.
Let me guess. Only character who's never made a top 8.
I'm sorry. This was at the halfway point in the year. The only character who hadn't made a grand finals. Grand finals. And
okay.
If you can
shot in the
right,
dark, is it Ryu?
You are incorrect. I will give you one more guess. I will give you a clue.
Okay.
He was an original World Warrior.
Oh my god. Only character not in grand finals. Well, Vega.
No. It was Guile.
Ah!
Guile was the only original World Warrior who was not in a grand finals until the midway point of the year.
That's funny considering how many motherfuckers are out there complaining about Guile.
See, you would think you'd be in every top 8 always every grand final.
I remember it was about like I don't know, maybe 6, 7, or 8 months ago that people were like, Guile is a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely, and it makes me crazy. To this point in the year, I think every character has made a top 8. The least amount of appearances go to Falk, Kage, Lucia, Ed, and Jury. And
Yeah.
those all have one.
I could.
I'm looking at the stats right now. Unfortunately, poor Ed is 0-1, and Jury are 0-3 in their top 8 appearances.
Okay.
But yeah,
Hey, but at least they're making it to top 8.
yeah, that's true. I think only one person has made top 8 with Jury, and they've unfortunately gone 0-3. But that one person is consistently making top 8. And I wish I knew who.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, yeah, there's always characters that like need help and stuff. I still think Megan needs a little bit of help personally, but like, what the fuck do I know? There's people. There's always gonna be people that need help, but to pretend that Street Fighter V is like some sort of mess in terms of its balance and meta is completely off kilter.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, when you look at a game like Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 11 has a very like there's not Sonya, Cassie, I think Jax, and I think that's it. I think those.
Oh,
Johnny
really?
Cage.
Are they running things over there?
Yeah, and Johnny Cage. I think those are the 4. The Cage family is running things.
All right.
And then Jax. And those are like the top tiers. I think recently Noob Saibot is making it up there.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Noob Saibot got some buffs recently, and he's making it up there. I think. We just talked about her. The Elemental Woman.
Cetrion.
Yeah, Cetrion. Cetrion recently got some buffs, and she's up there. And I think those are it. I think Terminator, people are, it's early. He's been out for a week. And people are screaming that he's top tier already. Who knows? Who knows what even that means? But allegedly he's up there. So we'll see. But those characters are like every top 8, you'll see those. The Tekken's usually the same with the exception of Panda winning the Tekken World Tournament last year. It's always King, Dragunov, Jin, any of the Mishima families, like those. That's always those characters. It's rare to see characters outside of that. I think Jack 7 is up there too. Yeah. Anyways, but
Right, yeah.
those are those characters. Like, yeah. If anyone is interested in the stats of the current Capcom Pro Tour season, there's a man who goes by the Game 2K. The Game TWOK, and he watches and tracks every single online CPT and I think the Street Fighter League event. And he has character win rate, character usage, how many rounds, how many games, everything that they've ever appeared in. He has a stat for. As of this year, Kedin is like the highest number. Her record is 285 wins, 195 losses. And she's the current top character. 16 people have used her. She's everywhere. She's number 1 with the bullet right now in usage. And win rate, unfortunately. Akuma, Rashid, M. Bison, Ibuki, and Birdie are just beneath her.
Wow, M. Bison. Yeah, I remember before Problem X did his thing, no one was really looking at Bison like that. Nobody.
No. And then Bison made Takedo in the Grand Finals reset look silly. And everyone went, whoa, Bison's a problem. And everyone, like us, they were going, yeah, no fucking shit. Bison's a problem. We've been saying this. Devil's Reverse can kiss my ass. I hate it.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think there's a big difference between a character who's, like, clearly much stronger than everybody else and a character that has, like, 1 or 2 properties that make them good against people who just aren't aware or aren't that great. Like, for example, there's Scorpion in MK11. I don't know anything about the MK11 meta, but I remember first playing that game when it first came out. I'm like, Scorpion has too much. He just has that one move. It's too much. His teleport is too much. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that Scorpion is an overpowered character. He's that much stronger than everybody else. Just saying that, like, the properties of his teleport is a bit bullshitty. And you know what? They fixed it. So I don't know if Scorpion is bottom tier now or something, or even top tier. I don't know, and I don't care. All I know is that, like, fighting against that dude's teleport felt bad, And I'm like, you know what? I feel like it should work like this, and they changed it. Similar to that Devil's Reverse, man. Once again, I'm not saying Bison is like top tier. All I know is that EX Devil Reverse is fucked up, man. It's just fucked up to fight against. That's all.
I can't believe that move is invincible.
I'm not even asking them to change it. I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm letting everybody know EX Devil's Reverse is a fucked up move to fight against. That's all.
It is. It's awful. Like I said, that it's invincible. I hate it, but I don't want them to change it. That gives that character another tool. But goddamn, like in V-Trigger 1, where he can like switch sides on you and just make you feel bad.
Yeah, like the fact that it's like got all that invincibility and it's like fully steerable and like, and you can like just go into it in the air from another move. Like there's just too much control for something so invincible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and he can cancel from head stomp into crusher and like move away from you at a rate that will make you. You can do head stomp. He can steer it away from you. You will try to anti-air because you think he's coming for you, and he can slide in, get the crush counter, and now you have to guess again. And by the way, he can corpse hop you with his goddamn dash. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, it's a fucked up move.
Yeah. Look, at least we don't have in the beta where his slide was a crush counter that would pop you up, and from there he could go into fireball.
No, that was kind of tight, actually.
Yeah, I know, but like at least look, he's top tier enough. Let's not give him more fucking tools.
That dude was tight.
Before we move on to some other stuff really quick, I do want to throw this out here. The R Street Fighter subreddit is sponsoring 3 players to go to the North American Regional Finals. They are sponsoring No Good Citizen. Full disclosure, he's a good friend of mine. I love that dude. He's very solid. They're sponsoring Amezi, who is a content creator, and he plays Alex. I believe he's...
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sponsoring him. This is all community voted in. And then Seth Series Mark II is the 3rd player that they're sponsoring. They're currently holding a fundraiser because the way that the R Street Fighter subreddit does it, they hold a community vote, which I was a part of. Thank you everyone that voted for me, much appreciated. Like I said, I think we got over 100 votes. The top winners I think got 800 and 700 respectively, but the 3rd place got like 180. So wasn't far behind from 3rd place. So I feel good. Thank y'all, appreciate it. But they nominate 3 by the community. You know, they get voted in. From at that point, we're at the stage we're in now, where they raise funds, where you can donate directly on their Matcherino. You can buy a T-shirt that is designed for each of the players. So No Good Citizen has a T-shirt. Amezi has a T-shirt. Yango threw it in the chat, which is a direct link to their Twitter. And then Seth Series Mark II got a T-shirt. They also have like other T-shirts that you can buy. Anyways, that event is going on right now. So if you would like to help support these players, get to the event. I believe they're raising around $3,000 to send all 3 out to the North American Regional Finals. So if you have any extra money to donate, if you want to throw in $5, go ahead. If you only want to donate $1, that's fine too. If you don't have any money to donate, but you care about the program or you want to support the program, you can click through on their Matcherino website, and they have coupons that you can use. Without donating any of your own money, without entering any of your bank account information. I don't know the codes offhand yet. I don't think they've released them. They should be available on the site. You can enter coupon codes for No Good Citizen, Seth Series, and Amezi. And Matcherino, just by entering those codes, will donate 50 cents towards the pot for everyone that uses it. I don't think there's a cap on it, so throw it out there. As far as I know, it might be NA Finals No Good Citizen or NA Finals Amezi. That might be the coupon code. I will put it in the show links and stuff like that below. But all you gotta do, throw that code in, donate 50 cents, you feel good about yourself. Anyway, so now that we're off of that, that's what that is. Support people if you want to support them. If not, totally fine. Not gonna ask for your money if you don't want. If you don't believe in the program, totally okay. But Brett, I'll bring this back to you. As someone who's been around fighting games for a long time, you know a lot of people in the community. You know a lot of things about fighting games. Do you have a favorite story from the FGC or from fighting games in general that really resonates with you?
I don't know about a favorite story, but I'll tell you a weird story.
I love it. Please.
It happened so fast. It's like a dream. Like it never really happened. I was like, oh, did that actually happen? I get that. I started. This may have been like right before, or during when we were shooting Balrog Behind the Glory, and I went with my friend Art, who's a member of the FGC, long-standing dude. He helped us make the movie, and I think one day we were hanging out, and then we were like, let's go to like the weekly event. And this was, I think, like before Wednesday Night Fights was Wednesday Night Fights. This was like, we're talking 2011.
Okay, so 2 years after Street Fighter 4's release, everyone.
Yeah, this was during the time when like Marvel versus Capcom 3 just came out around then.
Yeah, that was 2011 because I was living in the trailer. Yeah.
Was it? Are you sure that was 11?
Yes, that was 2011. And I know this because I lived in a trailer with a broken window that snow would come in behind me. And I remember playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Super Street Fighter 4. So that's how I keep track of time.
So it was like during that era, like they used to hold like the weekly West Coast, whatever it was, like event in like this hotel ballroom. I don't remember where it was. I just remember going with my friend in his car and we went, and there was like all these games being played. And I remember I sat down next to this really like fat guy, and like, played like a pickup game of MVP3 with my broke down ass team of it was Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, because I'm like I have to do that, right?
Right, absolutely.
I was like I have to make this happen.
We're getting the band back together.
And I stole like I think he was playing Phoenix on the back end on Anchor, and I stole the match by like X factoring out of block stun at Ryan Man's level 3, and I killed him. And then like the people behind us were like, "Oh!" And I got up. I was like, "All right, good game, bye." And then my friend was like, "Do you know who that was?" I was like, "No." He was like, "That was Flo," and I'm like, "Who?" I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I just remember being like, "Okay."
When you say art, are you talking about Arturo Sanchez? Like, are you just floating
No.
that out? Okay, all right. Just double checking. You said he's part of the FGC for a
Talking
long
about
time.
Artavan Mikikian, also known as Maj or Majestra.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
He runs SonicHurricane.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good guy, very sweet boy. Love that art. He's so smart. So he helped us on the movie and everything. So we were hanging out a lot during that era. And I remember, yeah, we went to this event, and I remember one of the people he introduced me to was a guy who was upcoming the FGC kind of big time at the time. There's a guy named his name is Zed. His name is Red Rapper, right?
Yeah. Okay.
He did some stuff for the FGC. I think he was involved in an official Street Fighter commercial one time. He seemed like a genuinely nice guy. And so we talked here and there. I don't remember how this happened. I think he and I like that night connected because like I told him that like I did improv. He was like, I used to do that in school too because I used to do this. I still do it. Like I teach at a place called Comedy Sports LA. He's like, I did comedy sports in high school. I was like, yo man, me too. He was like, who was your coach? He was like, Natasha. I'm like, that's my current coach. He's like, oh shit. So we kind of connected. This was 2011. This was long before I was ever on. So I don't fucking know how I got this information. I don't know. But like this was like months later after that night. Months after that night, I somehow got word, and it was like I feel like it was in a public place like Twitter, but it certainly wasn't Twitter. That this dude, Red Rapper, he was like, "Yo, I'm filming this movie. It's like this movie. Like I'm making a movie that I wrote and directing, and there's like a party scene that we need to film, and like we've got all the people and the equipment, and the thing that like the location that we were gonna film in has fallen through. Is anyone who can like let us use their place?" And so I was like, "Yeah, man, you can do it here at my current house." And he's like, "For real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So eventually, like him and some other guys, like it was probably a group of 7 dudes. It was like 7 dudes. And it was like my other friend was over at the time, and like they all came over, and like they only really needed the outside of the house, like the driveway, to make it look like a party was going on just off screen. And the scene was like between 2 guys, and I think the 2 guys were Red Rapper himself, and the other guy who I think was like the star of this movie. I gotta look this up to see if they ever released or did anything with it. But the guy, he was a guy who was very prolific back in the MVC2 days. His name was Neo. He often went by Golden Boy Neo. This dude was like, he was a very fucking good player. I think he had like one of the most iconic first to 10s against Clockwork in MVC2. You could probably like look still to this day.
Okay.
These like young guys, fucking younger than me, right? They're just kids like making this movie. Like I get it. Like we made our own ass film. But I remember like I brought them water and like we had cookies and shit. We started like chit chatting in like my dining room about Magic the Gathering and shit. And I remember I was like, "Yo, I gotta get this all cleaned up, man. Like I have to get all this cleaned up because I can't have my grandma waking up and like finding the house in shambles." They were like, "No, man, we'll take care of it." So I remember like by the time they got there, it was already getting dark, and by the time they left, it was probably 2 in the morning. And from all that filming, and then finally after they left, like I cleaned everything up and everything was great. But like I kind of never talked to Red Rapper again. So like the whole thing just kind of felt like this weird whirlwind of activity. Like these people came in my house. It was one of those cartoon dust 'em up fights that just like scrolls across the screen and then you get pulled into it and then it leaves you and you're like, what the fuck just happened? That's that's kind of how I felt about that night. Like I forget a lot of the time that even happened. I was like, oh yeah, they like in my house and shit. It was weird. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Listen, I didn't think we'd get that kind of story.
Yeah,
That's excellent. That's great. I was trying to find any information I could about a Red Rapper movie, and I can't find it. Ranbat, maybe? But
oh, you know what it was?
hit
It
me.
was Facebook. Because I forgot that I'm still Facebook friends with him. So he must have posted on Facebook like, "Can anybody do this?" And I was like,
Okay.
"Yeah, that's what it was."
I just assumed, you got the Nextel on your phone, like on your side, and it chirped up, and it was like, "Yo, I need a set."
Not even. I didn't have that dude's number, but like we were friends on Facebook, as you know, as you did back then. Like if you meet a guy, like maybe look him up there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just tried to help a guy out, and he was like, "Thanks, man," and I never heard from him. Really.
Wow. He just ghosted. He's just out of here.
Yeah, and I get it. Like like it's not like
Yeah.
he did a bad thing or a wrong thing. I was just like, oh. Yeah, you can search for Zed Tabani. Yeah, you can search for that Zed Tabani movie.
Okay.
Maybe I'm gonna do that when we're done. I'm gonna try and find that movie. See if he ever did anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, Zed Tabani. Holy cow. Okay, well look, here's what I'm gonna do. This is where I open it up to everyone in the chat, and I know you guys have been asking questions. I'm really sorry we couldn't get to you, but now I'll open it up to the chat. If you guys have any questions that you like to throw at me, you like to throw at Brett, throw them at Brett. Most importantly, now is your chance to throw them in the chat while I ask Brett this final question before we get to your guys' questions. Brett, if there's anything about fighting games that you want to talk about, anything on your chest, anything you want to get out, now is your platform. Now is your opportunity to speak about anything that you see in fighting games or anything that you think about fighting games. Now is your time.
Well, I guess the only thing I have to say really is that I really, and I'm glad they're getting more and more attention, and I hope that everyone involved already treats other people the way they want to be treated, nicely and with respect and with like patience. The people that are like new and coming, like I hope that we who are already here, like this is our home, fighting games. I hope that we can make it feel hospitable to people who are just visiting because they might move, which would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say some nice things about you, and I would say this even if you weren't here and you weren't around. So just
do it, fluff me, do it.
Look, I'm gonna fluff you up right now.
Do it.
I've been around fighting games a long time. Since I was a kid, I've played fighting games. I think they're my favorite genre outside of RPGs. And so I've grown up with fighting games, but I never really learned fighting games. And I learned fighting games through you. And I've told you this before, but fighting games really, really helped me out of a tough place in my life. When I really picked them up at the beginning end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I learned a lot from you, and that really changed who I am, essentially, or at least how I approach life. And you've been a very, very good teacher and a very solid teacher, a very solid coach. Through learning fighting games, having a mentality through fighting games, accepting failure, all stuff that we talked about at the top of the show. And a lot of people who come into the FGC who learn things from watching other people who are influenced. There are people who come into the FGC who learn things from watching Low Tier God, unfortunately.
Right.
Fucking clown. And, like these awful influences. Krista Tarian has recently gone on to say some terrible things that I hope a lot of people don't run with.
Oh boy!
Again, I'm not going to get into it, but it is what it is. There are certain members of the FGC who are very positive, who have a good outlook on fighting games, and there are certain members that don't. And if you can learn anything from this show or from anyone that you follow, it's make sure that those influences that you're using, that you're interacting with, you're projecting that to the rest of the FGC and to the rest of the fighting game culture itself. Don't do, like, if you ever have a shred of doubt, you go, is this bad? Like, am I wrong here? Or like you feel weird about saying something, maybe don't say that thing or don't do that thing, and let fighting games and the people who promote fighting games and who show fighting games off to people be a good influence, and let people come to their own conclusions. And don't negatively enforce the bad things about the FGC that might not be there. There's a lot of people that, like we've talked about earlier, they parrot things about Street Fighter V that they've heard from people that hate Street Fighter V. And they might not have played it, they might not have had much interaction with it, but they were influenced by someone that hated the game. They played the game for a couple hours and went, oh, these are the things that person was talking about. This game must be bad because I'm experiencing those things that person hated. And then they go about their way. Like, please, for the love of God, if you hear anything, approach things with an open mind. And really learn from people like Brett, who try to look on the positive side of things and adjust things accordingly to not influence others in a negative light.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Sorry that I've been rambling today, and I think it's mostly I don't know. I'm rambling a lot, but now we'll get to the chat. Your guys' questions.
You're doing great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Body Novel in the chat says, what one Magic the Gathering card would you want to main in a fighting game?
Oh, wow. Would I want to main in a fighting game? Oh.
Okay, all right. So, I guess, we'll simplify. He says, use Street Fighter V if you need a specific game. So, what Magic card would you put in Street Fighter V as a character? I think I know mine, but I don't know. God damn it, I need to come up with his name. I'm gonna have to check Mythic Spoiler for it. The Tarmogoyf?
Oh yeah, I know Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf is who I would put in. I think he'd be mine as like a fun beast character, or maybe even like a boss character to play against in like a mode. But if not for him, like let's say we have to go with the Planeswalkers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I don't know. Maybe Liliana. Liliana, I think would be cool. To put in Street Fighter V.
Yeah, she might be cool.
But for you,
I think I would go with. Well, I don't know anyone by name, but there was this like in Magic the Gathering, one of the universe like tribe of like fighting monks known as the Jeskai. I think one of them would be pretty cool to play as in a fighting game. It'd be badass.
Okay.
And aside from that, there's this one chick who's like, she has like 3 wings. She has like an angel wing, a demon wing, and a dragon wing, and she can like summon them. She's kind of tight too. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for the nerdy ass question.
No, I was gonna ask you a nerdy ass question about Magic cards, and I skipped over it.
All right.
Because I thought it would take up too much time. But I guess I'll ask it really quick. Jason Voorhees becomes a Magic card. Has a deck themed around him. What is Jason Voorhees' color scheming?
Okay.
And what are his stats?
Well, let's see. What does Jason want? I think Jason wants usually just to like punish people. That honestly sounds kind of white. Like justice is usually the domain of the white color. Mm-hmm. He also seems to be driven by instinct a lot. But of course, like just offing people like that is, it's pretty fucking dark. So I think if I had to make a Jason Voorhees card, I think he might fall under like, I think he might be like green and white and black somewhere in there.
Okay.
Like I can see all of those potentially happening.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can make him a dual card. Cause my original question was, the 5 big slashers: Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy. I threw the Candyman in there because I really like the Candyman.
Next representation, yeah.
Yeah, and Pinhead. Where would they fall on the Magic color chart?
All of them? You want to do all of them?
No. See, that's the thing. I didn't ask the question, but that was the original question. But like I said, Jason Voorhees, I think was I agree.
I'll tell you, Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger is pretty blue. The fact that he uses the mind and dreams to attack people,
right?
Turning thought into reality is a pretty blue thing.
Okay.
He's pretty blue in there. Like he's not solely blue, but there's some blue in there.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I was gonna put Candyman as white. I thought he would be white. I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about what he wanted. What does Candyman want?
What is Candyman? He usually just wants like. From what I remember that fucking movie, he just wants that white girl to like come to his house mostly. I think that's what he wanted. He keeps telling her like, "Come to." Yeah, and deep ass Tony Todd voice. I think that's what he wanted. I don't remember. I think.
Oh god.
If it's like comes to like wanting white girls, that's pretty black. So maybe we put Candyman in black. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Fuck it. Cut. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Back on it. All right, we're off of this. Geek Chip wants to know in the chat: do you have any thoughts about the League of Legends fighting game that Riot has announced recently?
I don't have any thoughts, but I'm very intrigued, and I'd love to get my hands on it.
Okay.
No thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's not enough information to have any thoughts. You know what I mean? Like I want to try it.
We don't have anything yet, like substantial to sink our teeth into. If you could get rid of one place, what would it be? Taco Bell, KFC, or Arby's?
Wait, you broke up. One more time. What were the choices?
Sorry. If you had to get rid of one place, Taco Bell, KFC, or Arby's?
Oh, bye Arby's. Sorry, dude.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah, sorry, man. Sorry. Look, Taco Bell is too important. KFC is. Look, I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't get KFC often, but I'll tell you this much: I get it more often than when I go to Arby's.
All right. That's, you know,
Bye,
I guess buy Arby's, buy bitch.
Bye.
The only reason that I enjoy Arby's as much as I do, living in this small town, the only options that we have for food are pizza or country kitchens. And so
wait. What is a country kitchen? Is that a buffet? Is that what we're talking about?
No. So a country kitchen you go to, and the only things on the menu, you can get a coney dog, you can get chicken strips, you can get wings, nachos, or a burger. And then
that just sounds like a diner.
Yes. Up here they're called country kitchens because we're in the fucking woods. But
okay.
So yeah,
all right.
Imagine a diner, and then imagine a small town. And every time that a Mexican restaurant moves into the small town, the white people hate it and drive it out. So we're just stuck with 10 country kitchens. And I'm very sad. But that is
sad.
Yeah, that's Houghton Lake for you. That's
the saddest.
It is what it is.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So that's why I enjoy Arby's, because I can go to Arby's and get like a market fresh sandwich that has like lettuce and tomato on it and like hasn't been deep fried and like smothered to oblivion. And like, they have good mozzarella sticks, so I enjoy Arby's.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Look, I'm gonna have to invoke my own privilege here. I got too many better choices where I'm at.
That's totally fair. I think
Arby's has got to go.
A friend and I have always talked about doing this thing we call the Fat Fuck Tour, where we go down to Texas and we drive from Texas over to LA and like try to eat the best food that we can.
I'm down.
Like among those places, and I think we would just settle in LA for like a month and just try different restaurants. There's just so much out there.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Look, listen. When I head out that way, I'll let you know. Hey, sweetheart, I'm doing an interview right now. Do you want to say hi before you take off?
Oh, killing it.
She is killing it back there. She's been having a great time. What is a fighting game that you wish you had more time to play and dive deep into? Asked BW Angry.
Man, part of me wants to say Killer Instinct, but I'm not sure that that's true. Like, I love everything about Killer Instinct, but its combo system doesn't feel the greatest to me. But I like a lot of things about it. I like Samurai Showdown, but I feel like it is too archaic.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. What would I play? Like, if I had way more time. Oh, you know what the answer is? It's Tekken.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be number one with the bullet for a lot of people right now. Is Tekken 7.
Yeah, Tekken's too hard. I can't play Tekken. It is far too hard for I don't have the time. I can't. Yeah. Nah, I can't, sir.
The amount of time that you have to donate in that game to simply move for movement alone.
Yeah, that's not even an exaggeration, man. It was like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe when I turned Tekken 7 on, like, I'm gonna learn Tekken. and like moving was hard, and like getting off the floor was hard. Why is everything so hard in that game? I'm not saying it's so hard and they should change it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like it just takes time, and I ain't got it, man.
Yeah, there are a lot of like backdash canceling. Was one of the first things that I tried to learn and do. Like when people are like, if you're gonna play Tekken, this is what you have to do. So it's called the Korean backdash for a lot of people because or backdash canceling. And I tried to do that for an hour, and then my hands hurt, and I went, you know what? Maybe I'll just watch Tekken for a while. It's like, you know what? Nope. Not gonna go there. Not gonna say it again because.
All right, great. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Question for Brett: how did you come up with the name / character Temptation from the Balrog short you worked on?
Temptation. Oh man.
Oh, Temptation.
Yeah, it's just Temptation. It's,
yeah, it is Temptation. But like seeing it wrote out, I was like Temptation, like Tayshaun Prince from the Detroit Pistons. Sorry, go on.
yeah, it's just Temptation. Oh my God, what a pull! Temptation was like that whole movie is basically us riffing on those like behind the whatever boxing documentaries, right? That like you see them every now and then where they like what there was. I wish I could remember what it was. My old friends might know exactly what it was, but I remember one night we were all together and we watched one of those boxing documentaries, or I did, and it was like an hour long, and it was fucking sad about this like old retired boxer who's like all punchy and sad now. And I remember watching that, and like that was my main inspiration for Balrog Behind the Glory. And in that documentary, like that guy had his trainer. He had like one of his trainers was this guy, who was like not. He was a kind of a seedy guy. Like if you're gonna do the whole story of your boxing hero rising and falling, you're gonna have to have like his trainer who wants to take advantage of him.
Right.
So he's literally an archetype. That is where he came from. And I was like, well, what are we going to name him? Well, he's Temptation. So, yeah, like, let's get overt with the motherfucker, right?
Yeah, that look totally fine. Listen, you're not wrong. As someone who spends a lot of his time watching combat sports and, like, delving deep into that world, seedy coaches, agents, and instructors go very deep in boxing. So, yeah, no, totally understand. I think Pepino Cuevas, who was the inspiration for my first like username. He had like a long history with like just like his dad taking advantage of his money, his uncle taking advantage of his money, and like they all went by Pepino Cuevas, which is Spanish for cucumber. Cucumber Cuevas, and he's like 5'4", like just a little guy. But they all went by Pepino Cuevas, so like the articles would be like Pepino sues Pepino for stealing money, shit like that, and it was always very funny to me. But for the longest time, when I was really young, I went by Pepino Gayton because that's my last name and Cucumber, and I just thought it was funny. Like there's just a lot like Julio Cesar Chavez, guys like that. Or goddamn it, yeah, Julio Cesar, Jesus Christ. Anyways, enough about boxing. No, we'll get one more of these questions, maybe two more, then we'll get you out of here.
No problem.
Do you? Let me vet this one really quick. If my mouse wants to work with me.
Okay.
Do you have a long-term goal for yourself you're working towards in the fighting game community? Something like, man, it'd be rad if I could make X happen in the next 2 years.
I did have that for a long time. Like, I wanted to come... Yeah, how do I put this? I wanted to be, like, a commentator. Like, I would love to do the stuff that those... Like, I would love to commentate tournaments big and small. Ideally big, because I feel like I could do it, and I feel like I could do it pretty well. And I think I'd have a really good time doing it, too. But it's not really a priority anymore, because it's just so much on my fucking plate. I'd still love to do it, but I'm not working towards it.
Okay, fair enough. I would pay money to see you, Yipes, or you, Sajam, in the commentary booth. I think it'd be very exciting.
Yeah, man, I think both those dudes Yipes is my favorite commentator, of course. And Sajam, I think, does a very good job, too. I would love to get in there. I would love to get in there, and I would love to do it with those guys. But the problem is that, like I could go down to Wednesday Night Fights and just start every Wednesday and, like, make my name known. But, motherfucker, I work. I work. So, it's tough. Because I can't go down to Santa Ana. I can't. That's impossible. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I would love to do it. I just don't know how.
Fair enough. Like I said, if we could ever make it happen, or you and Tasty Steve, you and James Chen, well, if we could ever make it happen, we'll find a way. We'll crowdfund your ass. I think SoCal Regionals is gone. I think that event has disbanded after this year, so maybe not that one, but maybe we can get up to NorCal. We'll pay our way into NorCal. I will make a
I
fucking demo
appreciate-
reel for it. Listen, put on Saturday Night Slams 4. I'll cut a promo reel for your commentary. We'll send it out.
You know, that's why I started Saturday Night Slams. A big part of that was like I should start making reels for myself. But Saturday Night Slams had to end too because too busy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this Saturday, I got stuff to do. You know,
Right.
It sucks. I would love to do it, but you know.
Yeah, no. Listen, I'll say as someone who participated in 2 of the 3 that were put into power, they're put into action. They're fun as hell tournaments. You and Pat did a great job.
Well, thank you.
Again, I can't say enough nice things. Yango, if you want to host an online tournament, for anyone in the chat that wants to host a tournament, you can do it. That power is easy as hell. You go to Challenge, you input the tournament name, you invite people, put out a prize if you want to. People will show up. I guarantee it. I guarantee you people will show up. All you gotta do, just put it out there. I'm gonna host an Abigail only tournament. We're gonna call it fucking the Junkyard. It's gonna be great.
Oh, that's so dumb. I love it. Great.
Look, I was gonna do it yesterday for Abigail's birthday, because.
Wait, I thought it was your birthday yesterday.
Oh no, not my birthday yesterday. Yesterday was Abigail's birthday.
Wait, did you have a birthday recently?
My birthday is in April, so no, I'm good.
It was your birthday.
No.
I legitimately thought it was your birthday.
Oh no, so I turned 30 soon, but not until April.
Oh, that is so funny.
Yango says April 20th, and I think he's trying to make a bad 420 joke, but it's April 18th. Yes, son of a bitch.
That is so funny because I rated you with my stream. I was like, oh man, I saw your stream title. I'm like, it's his birthday. Like, that's wonderful.
Oh no.
I did, yeah.
Oh, Brett, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that I missed.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I was doing this stupid ass thing for Abigail because I was like, it's his birthday. We'll do a 3-hour Abigail stream. And I wanted to put on a tournament yesterday. But a lot of people were like, it's Wednesday. I can't really do Wednesday because I got my job. Like a lot of the prevalent Abigail players. And I was like, fuck. All right. So I guess we'll just do this another time. But yeah.
I got you.
I would love to do an Abigail only tournament. Call it the Junkyard. Have a great time.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea. Listen, Yango, in the chat, if you want to remember my birthday, April 18th, the night Paul Revere rode for this country, April 18th, 1776. That is my birthday. And now you'll remember forever.
Are you saying that because you're like proud? You're proud of that?
That's like that. That's how I like. It was an interesting fact that like someone presented to me one time, and so I like whenever I would meet a new girlfriend or something like that, and they couldn't remember my birthday, I would go, well, obviously you don't love this country, and you don't love Paul Revere defending it and alerting the country.
I'm sure that the girl loved that. I'm sure they loved that.
You've never seen someone dry up so quickly when I throw that fact
Yeah,
out
right?
there.
Yeah.
Oh, God in heaven. The first time I said it to my now wife, Evelyn, she immediately hit me with, if you have anything else in your brain, get that out right now, because I need to make a decision whether or not I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Oh, boy.
She fucking hit me with it. And now we're married with our daughters, and it's great. All right, I think that's all. I think we've hit all of the questions. Brett, one more time, thank you so much. The only reason that I do this podcast is because of your influence and your mentorship and everything else that you've given me. Thank you for this. Thank you for being on the show. When I went to Combo Breaker, I stayed the night in Yango's hotel room, who I met through you, and he was the reason that I was able to stay the night down there. There's so many people that I've met and talked to through you, so thank you for being on the show. But one more time, if people want to find you on the internet, where do they find you?
Yeah, it's right there on the screen. If you want to see me post about when I'm when I'm streaming, or if you want to see me post like random shots from like Doug or Rugrats, you can follow me on Twitter. That shit's at ShaperofStories. I stream on Twitch every now and then, and that's also Shaper of Stories, all one word. YouTube is a thing too. You can find me at Weekend Warriors. If you search Weekend Warriors on YouTube, you can find me there as well. And there's one more. Oh yeah, Super Beard Bros. If you search Super Beard Bros, I do that too. That is also a thing.
Yes.
But to address what you said, yeah, man, I appreciate you inviting me. I had a good time, and I thank you. Thank you very much, my dude.
No, but yeah, like I said, it was a pleasure having you on. My last things, here is, now I get to shill. We have merch. Sriracha Flash has merch because that was thrust upon me by someone. So we have some random t-shirts. We have all other kinds of nonsense. If you want to listen to this tomorrow, it'll be up on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Here is the link to that that's in the chat right now. If you want to find me on the internet, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and I don't have a joke one. I don't know, Walgreens.com at Sriracha Flash. Sriracha Flash everywhere. We're finally, listen, at this point, the podcast is taken off to the point where no one finds the fucking pie meme from 3 years ago about me. So that's great.
That's another thing I'm going to have to look up as soon as we're done.
I'm sure you've seen it. If you ever see a piece of pumpkin pie that, like, with a piece cut out of the center, and it's, you see a lot of, like, oh, don't let your friends do this on Thanksgiving. I posted it on Reddit a long time ago. Because one of our friends cut a piece of the fucking pumpkin pie out of the center, like an animal. And so I posted it. I was just like, blah, my friend's a dickhead. And it took off to the point where it was on, like, Tosh.0's website, and, like, all over the place. Yeah, it's in the chat, right? Newman just posted it.
All right. Yeah.
And it, like, everywhere. And so for the longest time, when I would, like, go to find myself on Smash GG for, like, tournament websites, and I'd search, like, Sriracha Flash Smash GG, the fucking pie would come up first. Yeah, that is literally from our friend's kitchen. Yeah, good stuff. Though, yeah, the one time we were legends, Buford and Newman in the chat, they know. But anyways, this has been Sriracha Flash. This has been Shaper of Stories. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Y'all have a wonderful night. This Saturday we'll have Ace of Spuds on here, who runs the Salt Mine online tournament every Saturday in the UK. But this has been Sriracha Flash. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.